All right, cool. I created this document recently, like in the last couple of months. Have you seen this yet?
Nope.
It's very simple. I broke it down like I often do into chunks. And
Can you move that to the big screen then?
and let me talk, I'm going to just close it for a second. Let's just talk about what most people do when they do an open house. Do you guys have a sign-in sheet?
Yep.
Okay, we're not going to do that anymore.
Okay.
So no more sign-in sheets, and we're going to do it differently. We're going to get their name. We're going to get their contact information. But my sister-in-law's boyfriend is a real estate agent. I've been coaching him. He's been in the business about a year. He listed my mother-in-law's home earlier in the year, and he was doing an open house. So I said, hey, I'll stop by, check on you. He had a bunch of people in the house. You know, the next guy comes in, and he goes, hi, my name's David. I need you to sign in. And the guy, I don't know if you guys can see me, the guy literally did one of these, like rolled his eyes. So when you say, I need you to sign in, rapport, does it go up or does it go down?
Goes down.
And how important is rapport?
Pretty important.
It's like Chet Holmes says, it's 65% of engagement in the sale is in rapport. Rapport is defined when people like you, trust you, and respect you. So let's create a process where we're not alienating them right out of the gate. Does that make sense?
It's amazing.
So little distinctions. And I think you guys are going to be really, really excited about this process because it's so easy. And it's all about adding value to the client. So when people go through your open house, let's talk a little bit about what they're doing presently. What are you doing presently? So you ask them to sign in. They sign in, but albeit reluctantly. Maybe sometimes you even get some resistance or objections like, what do you need me to sign in for? I'm just here for the open house. Have you ever experienced that? I know I have. So let's not do that anymore. But beyond that, once we get past that sign-in procedure, do you show the house to them? Do you let them roam about? What do you think the best practice is? What do you guys do?
Show the house to them.
You show the house to them? Okay.
Yeah.
So I'll just elaborate on what I used to do. We created those open house sheets from that Open House on Steroids program, and I wouldn't actually have anyone ever sign in. I would have the book in front of me, and I'd let them come into the kitchen. I'd greet them, and then I would just start asking them questions about, hey, what brings you in the area? What brought you in? Was it the signs? Did the signs catch your attention, or did you see it on Realtor.ca? And just strike up a conversation, and then I would ask them if they would be interested in touring the home, and then I tour the home with my sheet, and then I would fill out, start asking them questions like, what's your name, or like, what price range are you looking in, and just start kind of building out their criteria. That's how I used to do it. Okay, so what benefit is there in what brings you to the area? It was the free list of homes, is what are you interested in a free list of homes is what I offered them,
Okay, so if I'm the seller of the home, because usually, guys, you guys are all highly skilled, and we do things the way that we've seen other people do them, and, there's the old saying, shit flows downhill. So it sticks, and we're not conscious about why we do what we do. And today's training on open houses, when people come to an open house, is to be very, very intentional in why we do what we do. So we'll analyze some of these things. The offer is great, but if I was the seller and I recorded you or I bugged the property, how excited am I going to be that you're not pushing my house and you're pushing a free list of homes? Probably not really happy, right? And do you think sellers ever send a mystery shopper, like their sister, their brother? I promise you they do. They want to see what you're doing. And even if that's not a common occurrence, I don't want to step on that landmine. So I've really broken this down into statistics. What percentage of people buy the house? Now, in your market, it's a little bit different, right? Because where homes are in massive, massive demand. There's a shortage of supply. So we're not talking about a normal market, but in a normal market where supply and demand is somewhat balanced, what's the likelihood the buyer is going to buy a home at an open house?
1%.
1%, statistics say. So Steve's not wrong for going right after the list, offering the list, because chances are they're not going to buy it. But there is that 1%. And in your market, based on the way things are, it might even be 10% now or 15%. I don't know what the number is, but it's certainly higher. So here's how I've broken it down, and you'll see in the framework. I want to have an introduction. I want to be intentional with my introduction. I don't want to loom over them. Okay, I'm a salesperson in their eyes. So and I may be wrong. I reserve the right to be wrong, as my friend Jason Williford says. But my choice is based on my experience, my skill, my background. I want to differentiate myself. I don't want to be on top of them. I want to give them some breathing room. And when I give them some breathing room, I think that I create even more rapport and have an opportunity to engage them easier afterwards. That's just my belief. Could be wrong, but we can discuss it. So I'll let them go through the house. The third thing that I want to do is I want to determine, do you like it or don't you like it? And I'm going to show you how to be sneaky in doing it so that it doesn't look like we're fulfilling our own selfish interests. So do they like it? Do they not like it? If they don't like it, game on. I have the best search mechanism in the world, and I'm going to go into my Buyer Advantage program. If they do like it, and I'll give you an example. Let's say that we had a $600,000 or $700,000 listing that we were holding open, which is a great opportunity because a $600,000 or $700,000 listing attracts $600,000 and $700,000 buyers generally. But let's say somebody comes through the open house and they love it. I love it. Oh my God. Oh, geez, this is the nicest home I've ever seen in my life. That doesn't mean they can afford it or that it's in their budget, right? So without qualifying them, without sounding like a salesperson, I want to just tiptoe in the water and see if that's in their price range, and I'll show you how I do that. If it's not in their price range, I'm going to offer my Buyer Advantage program. If it is in their price range, I'm going to ask an engagement question that will move them along to hopefully make an offer on this property, which is really sweet because it's my listing and my sale. So if they are interested, I don't want to just ask them if they're going to buy it. I want to ask 2 or 3 engagement questions. Any questions on that? Does that make sense so far?
Sounds a lot better than what I used to do.
I really like
Okay. All right. And it's really simple. And what's great about it, Steve, is it's a process, right? And we can follow it over and over and over again, and we can get really skilled. So as you'll see, it's a whopping 1-pager. It's a 1-pager. Like, it's not going to be difficult for your team to learn. So step 1, here's my introduction. Hi, my name is Brian with the Zahn team. What's your name? My name is Joe. Nice to meet you, Joe, or great to meet you. I'm not going to say, what's your last name? Do you guys follow me? I'm not going to pounce on them. I'm going to let this build up. I'm going to let it marinate. Oh, your name's Joe. Great. Great to meet you. Joe, here's a feature sheet. Take a look around, and I'm here to answer any questions if you have any. Now, by the way, am I really there just to answer questions?
No.
Fuck no. I'm there to sell this baby or get a new client. But it's very non-threatening. So that language is intentional so that it doesn't sound threatening. Hey, I'm just here to answer any questions. No threat. Great. I'll be in the kitchen. As you look around, Joe, please make a mental note of any feedback that you have so that I can share it with the seller. Will you do that for me? So that's how I plant the seed so that later on I can find out, do they like it or do they not like it? So every single time I'm going to say, hey, would you give me some feedback? You know, go through this property, give me some feedback. Great. Now Joe comes back. Joe, do you have any questions about the property? If they do, I don't go into sales mode. I just answer the questions. Like, is this town water or septic? Or is this town water or well? It's on town water. Does it have a septic or town sewer? So just answer the questions. And then I'm going to ask this is a very important question. Joe, do you have any feedback that I can offer the seller? Who can tell me why I'm asking that question? What am I looking for here?
You're looking for what they're specifically looking for in a property long-term, right?
Yes, that's accurate, but more simple than that, I just want to know if they like it or don't like it. So my brain is chunking them. You either like it based on your feedback or you don't like it based on your feedback. That's how I want you guys to think. So if they go, you know, the master bedroom's nice, but it's really too small. We have a king bed. I'm not going to go into sleazy salesperson mode and go, well, what if we turned your bed sideways and put it on this wall? And like, I'm not doing that shit.
Yeah.
You can't make somebody buy something, right? It either meets their general criteria or doesn't. Now, there is no such thing as the perfect home. So if they say, well, I wish it had a 2-car garage, I really need a 2-car garage versus a 1-car. Okay, great, that's helpful. Any other feedback? Positive or negative. So if the feedback that they give me, I'm going to chunk it into, do they like it? Do they not like it? Another way of saying it is, are they in the 99% that's not going to buy this house? Or are they in the 1% that might make an offer on this house? You guys follow me so far?
Yep.
Okay. And I might say, have you guys been looking very long? You know, just, it's kind of a qualifying question, but it's soft enough that it's not threatening. I don't think there's any harm in that. Now, if the feedback is good, that means they like it. But that doesn't mean they can afford it. So I'm going to say, awesome, it sounds like you like this property. This property is $349,900. Is that in your price range? I don't know. If they say anything but a yes, I'm going to go, would you like me to run the numbers for you and give you down payment scenarios, break down the monthly payments, and go over approximate costs associated with financing? Would that be helpful? I'm not going to lump this in. Let me just correct this. I just wrote this, so I'm always tweaking things. Go over financing. Okay, so that's going to be a period. After crunching the numbers, let me show you a sample sales agreement so that if you were to make an offer, you'd know what's involved. Let me see how I do this. So once you have the template, you'll make this your own language. And that's where I'm struggling right here. So after crunching the numbers, I'm going to say, let me show you a sample sales agreement so that if you were to make an offer, you'd know what's involved. I'm saying the same thing differently. Let me show you a sample purchase agreement in case you wanted to make an offer. I actually like what I said unconsciously better. Let me show you a sample purchase agreement. Because they may say, no, we don't want to make an offer, and I don't want them to say that. So after crunching the numbers, let me show you a sample purchase agreement so you know what's involved if you were to make an offer. Now, that's better because if they say, no, we're not planning on making an offer, well, that's fine. It'll still be useful because even if you're not making an offer on this property, it's helpful to know what's involved. Okay, now, after I've done that, I'm going to ask qualifying questions. Do you guys, I don't know if Steve, You're the systems guy. Do you want the qualifying questions listed here again? I can copy and paste them, but they're from the buyer script.
We got the buyer qualifying questions. Yeah.
Okay, so that's where these would go?
Yeah, we can link that in there.
Okay, perfect. So we'll ask those qualifying questions that are applicable. And then I'm going to also have a buyer profile sheet. So if they're not interested in making an offer on this property, and I'm going to find out like in 5 minutes, right? We run the numbers. No, the numbers aren't really good. They don't want to make an offer. Fantastic. I'm going to offer my Buyer Advantage program. Let me just put that here. If not interested, this may be duplicated. If not interested, offer Buyer Advantage. And they bite on the Buyer Advantage program, and then we complete the buyer profile sheet. So this is much different than asking them to sign in, but essentially I'm still getting all their contact information. Are you guys with me?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. If these people are not buying this house, okay, so I think I'm repetitive. So we go through this and they're not buying it, or the feedback is bad. That means these people are not buying the house, the feedback isn't good, or it's not in their price range. Here we go, make the offer again. So yeah, I don't need this.
And then you pretty much just go over the 5-minute buyer script, or I mean the, yeah.
Yep.
So you're making offers. You're making making the 4 offers.
So let me, just let me role play this for you for absolute perfect clarity. Do you have any questions? And sometimes people aren't interested in a property. They still have questions, right? Like, is it gas, heat, or oil? I didn't notice. Oh, it's gas. Oh, okay. Do you have any feedback that I can offer the sellers? Yeah, the bedrooms are too small. It smells musty in the basement. Like it really, man, I don't know what that is. Maybe they got cats down there. Have you guys been looking very long? Not really. But I know that this guy's not buying this house, so I'm going to go, Joe, at our office, we have a Buyer Advantage program. And if we know where you're looking, what your criteria is, price range, style, amenities that are important to you, we can give you priority, instant access, real-time access, like a backstage pass to all the properties that meet or exceed your criteria with interior, exterior pictures, days on market, and other useful seller information. Would that be helpful? At an open house, gentlemen, high conversion. This is a much stronger lead than an internet lead. Wouldn't you agree? They're further along in the process. They're out looking at property. So when you make that, instead of getting 13% to say yes that you're getting on the phone, roughly, you're going to get 60 or 70% to say yes right at that first offer, and then I'm going to complete the buyer profile sheet. And do you guys know what that is?
Let's take a look at it. Like, would you not set the appointment then, or?
Nope.
Yes.
Not yet. I want to get their contact information. Great question. Great distinction. In terms of order and sequence, very good question.
Yes, yeah. I guess if they're an online lead, you already have their information, and then you don't need to.
Right. These people are strangers. I need to get their name, their phone number, and I'm going to hook them with the Buyer Advantage program. Now, I'm not going to do the buyer presentation at the open house. I would think that's obvious, but just for clarity.
Oh, you don't just bust out and do the whole presentation,
right? I've seen people do that. So here's the buyer profile sheet. I'm going to start with tell me what you're looking for.
Yeah.
So, and I don't know, Steve, if you feel so inclined, this has always bugged me, but I've never taken the time to change it. I like to go from top down sequentially. So I want to go, what are you looking for? Then I'm going to ask them, this would be step 2. Do you guys have any children, special needs? Do your kids have any allergies? What are their ages? Are school systems important? So I'm going to go deeper and wider on their profile with these questions. Is public transportation important to you? Parks, playgrounds, access to major roadways? When would you like to be moved in by? If you could wave a magic wand. Then this is number 3. So this is actually completely asked backwards.
Yeah, we can make that work.
And then I'm going to go, okay, should we have anything that meets your criteria? How do I get a hold of you? Much less threatening, because now they're vested, they've communicated with you, you've got rapport, and it's natural. So then I get their name and address. Now I go, hey, the open house ends at 4. I could meet with you at our office. Do you know where we're located? Are you available at 4? Or we could do tomorrow, or maybe one day early next week. When's a good time to get you set up on this? And then I just handle that like any other buyer lead. Same objections, handle them the same way. Hey, we're in no rush. I handle the objections the same way. I'll go through the whole buyer advantage. So if I made the offer and I got to the buyer profile and then I get some resistance, here's a good distinction. Let's say that I hooked them with the buyer advantage offer, just that first offer. And now I'm into the buyer profile sheet. And I tell them that my open house ends at 4 and I'm going for the appointment. Or I try to get them for tomorrow or next week and I'm getting any resistance. What do you guys think I do? I've only given them one offer. So what do you think I do?
Sweeten the offer?
Yes. I in my head, because I've got this committed to memory, I'm going to go, well, it's not, so you're not in a rush. When the timing is more appropriate, is getting a good deal important to you? Yes. Now I'm going to continue with my script. I'm going to say, well, you should, because they just said no or gave me some resistance, right? So this is kind of analogous to being on a phone, but because they're there, I have to insert the step to get their name, address, and phone number. In case it does derail, I want to be able to follow up with these people. I want to be able to nurture them, right? I think I did a call with Blake. Was it Blake? And I said, everybody's a nurture. If I don't get them, they're a nurture automatically. So I'm going to insert the buyer profile part because we're face-to-face. I'm going to make the offer because they think I'm going to email them these properties, correct?
Yeah, that's the one thing that I was thinking about. Like, obviously, when they're over the phone, it's like, can't you just set me up on the search? It's like, well, no, we need to build your profile, but you've built their profile at the house. So what would you say if they're like, well, can't you just email me this? Because you have my profile right now. Why can't you just go create it and send it to me?
Well, there's actually more to the profile. We've got most of your profile, but the biggest thing, and I stick with the same objection, I don't want to send you listings that don't match your criteria. And right now in Guelph, there's hundreds of properties that I could fill your inbox up. And if I did that with properties that didn't interest you, you're not going to be real happy with me. What I found works best is we get you set up, we review your criteria together, make sure that we've got it accurate. I find out what you like, what you don't like in a property. Your collaboration helps me dial it in. And then I give you all the listings that match your criteria. And thereafter, it's easy to fax you, email you the new listings as they become available.
Gotcha.
Yep. Great question. Great question.
The question is as well. What happens when, because obviously this kind of process takes a lot of time when you're conversing with one specific or a couple, but one specific client, potential client. What happens if it's a really busy open house?
Fuck, I love that question. Okay, so first of all, 2 things that came out of this. For me, it doesn't take a lot of time. I can go through this whole thing pretty quickly. So I want to make sure that we don't have that limiting belief that it takes a lot of time. But to your point, you could have 10 people at an open house at the same time, right?
Yeah, that's kind of what it is.
Right? So that creates a little bit of chaos. So I want you to take off your real estate hat and think about the last time you were at a place that was really, really busy. What did you do? You waited your turn. So people at my open house, and I've had them loaded up. I've had 50 people at an open house. They wait their turn because we'll talk about this tour of homes that I used to do. Maybe not today, but instead of doing a 4-hour open house, I would do 6 homes in 2 hours and increase my chances of making a sale. So we can chat about the tour of homes. But what I would do, Brandon, is I would say, if I'm with one person and now people are coming, I would pause the people that I'm with and I would say, please excuse me, it's just me here. So I've asked for permission. They're sitting in front of me. I'm taking their buyer profile. Somebody walks in. Hey, folks, my name's Brian. What's your name? My name's Joe. Oh, hi, Joe. This is Joe, too. What a coincidence. Hey, Joe, take a look around the house. If you have any questions, I'll be here in the kitchen. Do me a favor, make a mental note of any feedback that you have that we can offer the seller, right? So that's one way to do it. They do it, and then, hey, guys, can you hang out here for a second? And you just make them wait in line. You may lose some in the process, but I would rather get one. How many times have we, and you guys don't need to answer this, how many times have we done an open house for 4 hours? We've had traffic, and we leave with a goose egg.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm not trying to get everybody. I would love to get everybody. But a bird in the hand, what's that saying? One in the hand is better than two in the bush. However that goes. If I've got somebody here, my attention needs to be with this guy. And if the more motivated and serious people are at an open house, the more likely they are to stick around and wait. And if you are in a really hot market, maybe you want to create a marketing placard, a poster that might be as big as my computer screen. So it's probably 28 inches or 30 inches by 18 inches. And it's got the buyer advantage offer right there. So that while you're engaging with someone, if you would like to receive this, please see the open house attendant. And notice this is another, did you guys all pick up that I called myself an open house attendant?
No.
As opposed to, please see the salesperson, please see the realtor, please see the real estate professional. Which has less threat to it?
Open house attendant.
Open house attendant. So I just gave myself a demotion, but I've also given myself a pay raise.
Sounds good to me.
Now, when I did the tour of homes, I called myself a tour guide. Like, here I am selling shit tons of houses, making lots of money, and I'm a tour guide. So I'd get to, when I did the tour, hey, I'm Brian, I'll be your tour guide today. Not, hey, I'm Brian, licensed broker with RE/MAX, Coldwell Banker. We want to do things intentionally to increase rapport. Questions on this? Those are good questions, gents.
No, that's pretty good. Do you guys have questions?
Maybe on the volume of houses that you're doing, or instead of doing the 4 hour, doing a 2 hour and doing multiple. How are you? That?
Well, that's a different thing. That's a tour of homes. Do you have any questions about open houses so we can close the loop on open houses before we move on to tour?
No, I think he said instead of doing 1 4 hour, do 2 2 hours. Is that your?
I thought that maybe that was the tour. Or you,
oh no, the tour. A house is open for 10 minutes. That's it.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So literally 6 houses in 2 hours, back to back to back. It's like if I were showing a buyer a house, but I advertised the tour.
I see.
I have a question. How do you handle neighbors at an open house? Like,
Yep.
there's still an opportunity. Like, I always use the phrase, don't you want to pick your new neighbor?
Yep.
How do you manage your time spent on them?
So I never judge a lead. There's a reason the neighbor's at the open house, and it could be one of two things. Maybe they're nosy, which does happen. But maybe they're thinking about selling. Maybe they want to see what their competition is. I don't know. I don't want to guess, and I don't want to judge it, so I always follow the process. So if they go, hey, I live next door, what's your name? I follow the process. What I want you guys to really understand is I don't deviate from my process.
Yeah.
And I'm going to make an offer. So if they're looking, I'm going to make the buyer advantage program. Now, by the time I get through the qualifying questions, it may show up that they're selling, right? That, hey, we're going to be selling in a few months. I don't jump to the seller offer. I finish with the buyer side. And at the very end, whether I got them or didn't get them, if they're a seller, I'm going to say, hey, you mentioned you guys were thinking about selling down the road, and I'm going to make my seller offer. Would you be interested in an up-to-date analysis of what homes in the neighborhood are selling for, along with a list of all of the expenses associated so that you know how much money you have left after the sale if you were to sell? If. So no pressure. Well, no, we're not ready for that. I stick with my seller offer, right? You guys have a script. You've committed it to memory. You stick with it. We sweeten that offer. No, we're not in any rush. We're probably not going to do anything till the first of the year. Okay, great. When the timing's more appropriate, is maximizing your home's value important to you? Well, yeah, of course. Joe, the best time to do that is when it's not on the market. A lot of people make the mistake. They're trying to maximize their home's value while it's on the market. Huge mistake. Since you're not in any rush and you're not doing anything and time is on your side, can I make a suggestion? You're not in a rush, so we don't need to get together today or even this week. But how about I stop by? I'm in this neighborhood a lot. How about I come by one day next week? I take a look. I'll show you what's going on in the market, talk about market trends. It'll be useful information for you to evaluate and consider. And I'll also point out some things that you could do that are inexpensive that could raise the value of your property by as much as several thousands of dollars, as well as point out things that you might share with me that you're thinking of doing that you don't have to or shouldn't do that'll save you additional time and money. What day next week would be good? Do you guys follow me?
That's awesome.
How many of you can do this? Raise your hand nice and high. And what's beautiful about this is there's not a lot of scripts. I have a buyer script. I have a seller script. I have buyer qualifying questions. I have seller qualifying questions. And then I have the most common objections a buyer could throw at me or the most common objections a seller could throw at me. And then the only other thing you need to master is a listing presentation and a buyer presentation.
It's funny you said that because I was literally just thinking of how simple this really is. It's not like, because sometimes we overcomplicate it so much.
Mm-hmm.
All the other trainers that we've been, there's a different thing that you do for every different scenario, but really what you're doing is, it's just like a script. It's an introduction, you're making an offer, and then you're sticking to the script. Whether it's an online lead, an open house lead, or a referral, anybody, it's the same.
Yes. And one distinction, Steve, is nobody likes scripts. I don't like scripts because they sound scripted. I also don't like them. I don't like to rely on them because the buyer or the seller never follows their lines. Have we ever found that to be true? Like we're reading the script and then they ask us a question, they break our pattern, and we're completely screwed. So a small distinction, in which I've demonstrated today, once again, is mastery of the script. Complete unconscious internalization of the process and the script so that it doesn't sound like a script. And if we were to look at the script, if you were to look at the script while I'm delivering that offer, you would be able to pick apart, well, you didn't say this word, you didn't say that word, you didn't say this word, you said this instead. Yep. But you would not be able to go, he skipped the intro, he skipped the first offer, he didn't use the setup question. That would not happen. I do it like a scientist every single time.
It's not the words, it's the process.
It's the process and the internalization of that offer. And do you guys find that it's more compelling when I'm using my inflection and my tone and I've internalized it than if I'm just reading it?
100%.
Yep.
Because I believe in it, right? Like I've put it on paper, I've massaged it, I've changed the words. I'm really in love with it. I really am in love with that process. I've studied it. I've recorded myself hundreds of times. I've written it out hundreds of times. I've role played with partners hundreds of times. And today, I mean, there isn't a day that goes by that I'm not doing this process with buyers or sellers at least 2 or 3 times a day. So if you're doing it 2 or 3 times a day, how good do you think you'd get? I'm really in a good situation for immersion. I'm doing it all the time, but you can do that too. You can start your day and read 30 minutes of mastery, of getting really, really good at it and being enthusiastic. I do want to talk about some objections or some things that we started to list out. Mm-hmm. And maybe you'll think of some others and we can add to this process for the benefits of the team and other people that we serve. But are there any questions before we go into objections or hiccups that sometimes arise at an open house?
Do you still agree with like doing that whole open house on steroids things, like doing 30 to 50 signs and
yep.
And then having a couple other, like the one thing they taught was to have other feature sheets of other properties in the area that are similar?
Nope, I don't agree with that.
For that clarification, good.
No, and here's why. Similar to why I don't send buyers listings prior to meeting them. Because if you give somebody a listing, whether it's an internet lead, you give them 10 listings to look at, or you meet somebody in an open house and you give them other properties to look at, even though you've made it on a Zond feature sheet, it may be a Century 21 or Caldwell Banker or Keller Williams listing, correct?
Correct.
So guess what they do? They get in the car, they go, honey, look at this one. Oh my God. Wow. That was nice of the guy to give me this one. Hey, it's right around the corner. Let's go drive by it. So you're at the open house. They know you're at an open house. They go drive by it. They go, shit, this is really nice. We'd like to see it. Let me pick up my phone. They're not going to call you. Who are they going to call? The number on the sign. Absolutely, I don't want to do that.
Great.
So I make it all about the Buyer Advantage Program. I want to get them the right properties. And to get them the right properties, there is no guess. We have to review their criteria together. We have a process, and there's a reason for that process. Awesome question. Great distinction.
One more question. What about like those like the mortgage companies trying to get you to use their feature sheets that break out the price and what the down payment, if you had that price? I recommend having those pieces of collateral information available?
Absolutely. So one of the things, but I'm not going to leave them open. That's not going to be the feature sheet that I'm going to give them. When they enter, I'm going to give them a standard feature sheet. I want to see if they like the property or don't like the property. If they don't like the property, let's not confuse them and get them looking at shit that is completely irrelevant to them. The only way that I'm going to get into the number crunching is if they like the property. So I'll follow the process, and I can either do it on a calculator, but if you have a mortgage company that's willing to do that work in advance, have those there as collateral materials. And when you say, is that in your price range? Well, I'm not sure. Would you like me to run the numbers for you, give you different down payment scenarios, break down the monthly payments, and go over associated costs? Yeah, Bri, that would be really helpful. Great. I've got this sheet prepared by ABC Lender. Let me just, based on 10% down, your mortgage amount would be this. This would be your monthly payment. These are your taxes. Do you guys have private mortgage insurance in Canada?
Yes.
This is your private mortgage insurance. This is your hazard insurance. So you'd be all in with this much down, and this would be your monthly payment. Would that work for you? Oh my God, that's a lot less than we thought. Let me show you a sample purchase agreement. So if it's favorable, I'm going to move on. If it's not favorable, yeah, we just can't swing that. Then I'm going to make my transition to the Buyer Advantage Program. Good questions.
You guys got any others?
I don't have any other questions.
Perfect. All right, let's roll to the objections. Sweet.
Okay. Now, when Brandon said that, I may be wrong, but I heard in his tonality, which is, I'm just going to make sure. So there's no questions. Is anybody having any voices in their head or limiting beliefs about this process?
No. I actually love it.
Okay, good.
I wanted to do open house.
Just
All
can't.
Phew. Okay, I feel better, but I wanted to make sure. Okay, because how many of us recognize that we have thoughts? Like, I didn't know if Brandon loved it or didn't love it, right? So I want to, if you don't love it, you're not going to execute it.
Oh, I love it. I have 3 open houses this weekend, and I want to set appointments from them. So,
Oh, dude, I'm looking forward to another post on my Facebook page.
all right.
All right, good. All right, so let's talk about some common objections or obstacles that can show up when you're doing this process that could throw a wrench in it. I have an agent, so you go over the numbers with them, and they throw, I have an agent that can write the offer for me. So I would say I will be presenting offers. Now, I may have no offers. I will be presenting offers from the open house in the next 30 minutes or immediately following the open house. Is your agent available to assist you in this time frame? No, they're at the lake or they're not around. Is there anything preventing you from submitting an offer with me? Okay, if you like this property, chances are other people are going to like this property. And, we had 20 people through the open house before you arrived. I don't know if they're coming back. A lot of people expressed interest. So if you would like to get an offer, I'd really encourage you to submit it. Is there anything preventing you from submitting an offer with me? Well, just the fact that I promised my agent that I would call her if I saw anything. Well, which is more important, your loyalty to that agent or your loyalty to your family? All right, we'll submit it with you just by asking the question. Okay, so you haven't signed anything with your agent that would prevent you from letting me help you? No, I haven't. And if they say, yes, they have, here's what I would do. And this is a training for another day, and it really is up to Steve as the broker of your team. I have an obligation to my seller. My number one objective is to sell their house. Procuring cause, I don't know how it is in Canada, but in the States, there's a very specific definition. I could argue after the fact. I mean, the goal is to get the property under agreement, right? So what I would do is, even if they were signed to a buyer agency agreement and they weren't available, time kills deals. Write that down. Time kills deals. And I'm going to use that with the agent. So maybe the agent signed them up to a buyer agreement. They're not available. How about I deal with your agent? I'll deal with your agent. Okay, great. So we submit the offer. We get it accepted. I call the agent. I go, Steve, I don't know what happened, but your buyer showed up at my open house. They told me after 20 minutes that they had an agent. So they didn't tell me at first point of contact. Really, you should not, I'm not going to tell you how to do your job. I understand you need to take time off, but they had an interest in the property. I helped them write the offer. They purchased the property. And what I'd like to offer is a 25% referral fee. Fuck you, no fucking way, that's my buyer. Section 2, paragraph 8, procuring cause. Let me read it to you. Is a consistent flow in the chain of events that results in a sale. You have disrupted the chain of events. I am the procuring cause. So I'm generously offering you a referral fee, or we can deal with it after the transaction closes. So that's a conversation for another day. But most people...
That wouldn't fly here in Ontario, but they're very, very strict on their buyer agency rules.
Okay, so even if that wouldn't fly, look, I'm getting my 3.5 points on the listing side. I'll write the freaking deal and give the agent the deal, right? Yep. And maybe even recruit that agent. So the goal is to get the property under agreement, and there's no sense in, getting into a pissing match with them about why their agent's not there. Because time kills deals. If I let that guy go, what's the likelihood that their agent has any skills whatsoever? Pretty slim. So time kills deals, and their agent's going to not bring the deal together. So if I can get the deal under agreement, I'm going to get it under agreement.
And there's no problem quickly calling that realtor too to say, hey, your clients are here. They want to buy the property. We're under a time crunch. I'm going to write the offer for you, and then we can maybe discuss a referral fee to me.
Perfect.
Right.
Yep.
If he says F you, then you're pretty much like, all right, whatever, I'll do it anyway.
Exactly. We talked about I'm the neighbor. If they're the neighbor, follow the process. Don't judge the lead. I'm even going to add that. Don't judge the lead.
So,
You can add in, if you were to move from your beautiful home next door, where would you go? If you could wave a magic wand, what's your timing like? But I'm not going to get into a lot of qualifying questions. Are there any other objections or hiccups that you can think of that we should add to this, specifically for the open house?
yeah, just the one that we talked about already, but I can add that. We've already discussed it about, well, you already have my criteria. Can't you just email me the list? So just sticking to the script. And
Yep.
And it's like, yeah, well, that's not all of the criteria. Plus, we can tweak the dials, whatever you said. It's recorded, so I'll go back and we'll listen to that.
Okay, cool.
Is there anyone
else?
you guys think? The one thing that I think they would potentially say is like, well, I'm touring a bunch of open houses today, so why don't I contact you after I go look at the rest of the homes I was going to see?
Oh, I love that. Okay, so I will kill this one.
Right.
So I'd go, first of all, my natural instincts are, do you really want to do that? Do you want to look at a bunch of properties that may or may not match what you're looking for? How about I offer you a private tour? Why don't we do this? Instead of just hoping that the properties are meet your criteria, why don't we get you set up in our Buyer Advantage program? You'll get immediate access to only those properties that match what you're looking for. That way you're not wasting your time looking at stuff that you have no interest in. And once you tell me which ones you want to see, there's no obligation to buy a home ever or even look at a home. And we can show you the 3 or 4 that best match your criteria versus randomly looking at a bunch.
Better than saying, okay.
Good luck.
Yeah, good luck. No, I like it.
What about, I don't know if it's an objection, but what happens when another agent brings their client through the open house? Do you just let him in and leave him alone, or do you kind of...
Oh, great question. So let me think about that. Somebody comes in. So I would assist the co-broke, because most co-brokes, and I can proudly say this today, all co-brokes don't have my skill and don't have my ability to influence their buyer, right? So I can assist them. And I've had a lot of people go, man, thank you. That was freaking great. That would have never happened if it was just me. We made a sale together and I owe it all to you. Thanks. Great. I'm also hiring. We're building our team. Would you like to have that kind of training? So it's a huge opportunity to help others and serve myself in getting this baby sold. So I'm going to assist that buyer in leading the process with respect. Hey, great. I'm Brian. What's your name? I'm Susie from Keller Williams. Susie, nice to meet you. Your clients, John and Mary. Nice to meet you, John and Mary. Susie, here's a feature sheet. So I give the feature sheet. I never give anything to another agent's clients. Great, just good etiquette. So I give the feature sheets to Susie. Susie, take a look around. I'm here to answer any questions that you guys have. I'll be in the kitchen. Also, if you don't mind, if I could ask the 3 of you to look, as you look around, please make a mental note of any feedback that you have so I can share it with the seller. Will you do that for me? Susie goes, yep, be happy to. They go through. Susie, do you have, everything is directed with Susie. Susie, do you have any questions? Did your clients have any questions? What feedback do you guys have that I can offer the owner? If they go, man, this place is great, it's beautiful, they like it, properties listed, I'm going to follow the same process. I'm just going to assist Susie in connecting the dots because Susie doesn't know how to connect the dots. Make sense?
Yep.
Love it. Great question.
Just don't offer them the Buyer Advantage program.
No, that's correct. Yeah. So if they don't like it, well, thanks for coming.
That's right.
Another tip, this is outside of this scope, but on my feature sheets that I'm handing out, on the back side of my feature sheets, and I don't have any examples, I would have a dozen classified ads. So I would have 6 classified ads on the left side of the feature sheet. On the back side, 6 classified ads on the right. Guess what those classified ads are? Offers. So people, and I did this on my own listings. It wasn't looked upon very favorably, but there's nothing wrong with it, right? It's not illegal, it's not immoral, it's not unethical. So Century 21 shows my house tomorrow. You know, they've got a showing scheduled for Monday at 3. On the back of the feature sheet, there's, hey, find out what your home is worth. Visit guelphprices.com. Free list of bank foreclosures. Visit guelphforeclosures.com. So I'd have a bunch of ads. And if they didn't sign, and if the agent, just so that you know, because it'll come up, if the agent goes, you are a fucking asshole. I can't believe that you're soliciting my buyers. No, I'm not, because I have a process. I respect the fact that they're working with you. Those classified ads are for the general public. If they don't like this house, I'm a lead generation machine. If you've signed your buyer up to a buyer agency agreement, you've got nothing to worry about. True or false?
True. It's amazing.
So fucking sign them up and don't worry about me.
We got a great training program if you need a new place to work.
Right. Right.
That's amazing.
All right, I'm going to send you guys this doc. This was a good call. Thanks for
Thank you.
Thank you for your active participation.
All right, brother.
All right, take care, guys. Have a great day.
Cheers. Bye.